Oliver, how do you think you differ from the stereotype of a productivity hacker?
I think I've been one so much that I've sort of come out the other end. When you get to experiment with as many of these things as I've been lucky to do in the Guardian column and elsewhere, you actually get to a very productive state of disillusionment when you've sort of tried hundreds and finally start wondering if you're not on the right track at all. It isn't just that you haven't found the perfect method yet, it's that there might be something worth questioning about the whole endeavor. So I think that's taken me to this place where I'm really interested in this question of limitation and sort of acknowledging limitation and honestly finding in limitation the path to many of the things that I thought I was going to get to through productivity hacking.
So you're saying it's not so much what you're striving for, it's what you're removing from your life.
That's definitely a big part of it. I think what I'm sort of getting at is I think a lot of us spend a lot of our lives very different manifestations of this, but of the same basic idea that there must be some way of getting on top of it all. There must be some way of handling everything or feeling completely confident about how we're doing our jobs or being parents or being spouses, or that we really feel like we have our time management all sorted out so that we can handle every demand that's thrown at us. And understanding that urge to be kind of an urge to escape the human condition on some level is what has made a big difference to me. Seeing that these are all kind of ways of not having to feel what it really means to be limited. And yes, once you're a little bit more in touch with that truth, letting go of things and not doing so much and making sort of tough but necessary decisions about which things to do and what not to do becomes a lot more practical because you're no longer chasing this fantasy of getting to a place where you would never have to do that.
I was speaking to a younger person about your book and saying that you were basically advising to work out what it is that you want to do and then spend more time on that. And he said, but how do I know what it is that I want to do? And so I'm asking you that,
Yeah.
Oliver.
All right. I will try to answer. A couple of levels of response to this question. One is yes, how do you figure out your direction in life? And I think that here I've found very useful any kind of uh, approach that enables you through usually through like clever questions really to get more in touch with things you sort of do know but know outside of the scope of conscious awareness. So this is where that question from James Hollis, the Jungian psychotherapist, uh, does this path enlarge me or diminish me? Does this choice in life enlarge me or diminish me? Is something that I think is really useful when choosing between options. Much more powerful than will I be happy if I do this, right? Because some meaningful things don't make us immediately all that happy, and some things that make us happy are kind of meaningless. Whereas enlargement seems like a phrase that really connects for a lot of people. Another question, also from a Jungian tradition, is like, well, what is the life task here? What's my life demanding of me, really, in this moment? But the other level on which I want to answer that question is to say, I think people come at it much too naturally, sort of much too high an altitude, I guess, to sort of broad a level. Um, I'm not sure that anybody, or at least not that many people, goes through life really knowing most of the time where it is they see themselves sort of landing a decade from now, or where they, once they look back on their whole lives, what will seem to have been the sort of defining purpose of that life. So I would say to somebody like the person you were talking to about that, you just need to have a sense of what might be a meaningful thing to do with the next hour or with the next day of discretionary time that you have or you know whatever, And then when you sort of lower the altitude in that way, metaphorical altitude of the question, often people do know quite well what they want to do. That what they mean by I don't know what I want to do is like I don't know how I want to spend my life. But you never need to answer the question of how to spend your life. You only need to answer the question of how to spend moments in sequence.
Oh, what do you think is the most common mistake people make when they're trying to organize their lives better?
I think there are lots, but if we're talking about sort of organization of tasks and calendars and to-do lists and maybe cupboards and uh, chests of drawers as well, that kind of organization, I think one big issue that I've certainly fallen into myself for sort of years at a time is uh, sort of prioritizing a sense of control and of being in command of the whole thing so much that you create these systems and ways of doing things that actually just have so many overheads. They take so much maintenance, right, to keep them working. So you buy a book about how to sort of organize your to-do lists and meet all your goals, and the ideas in it can be sort of okay, but if they take hours every week to put into practice or to tidy up again after things have got a little bit out of hand, this is really, firstly, you should be spending your time on something more interesting, and secondly, it becomes very source of aversion, right? You don't want to maintain those kinds of systems. And it's, you can see a sort of obvious parallel in household organization. If it takes you an hour every night to put things back in their places because of your complicated system for putting them back in their places, you're going to be much less likely to do it. So I think sort of meeting your urge to feel organized just as far as you need to is the important thing. So an example from my life, I changing my methods of to-dos and tasks every other week, frankly. But one thing that is a sort of constant theme in that is I do have a place where I write down everything that's on my plate, one big list where it is present. But I don't spend a lot of time each day kind of organizing that list and picking out the very best things to focus. Like that's much more intuitive. That focuses on what I'm going to do today. The list is there because I need a record, and otherwise, I worry that I'm forgetting things. So that's a level of organization. But the level of organization where you say like, oh, from 9:15 to 9:25, I'm going to be doing that. That is just a level of organization that, for me anyway, it would be hugely counterproductive.
Mm. What do you make of new trends that always seem to be kind of taking over, usually on social media? For example, getting up at 5 a.m. or this idea of having long flights, watching no films, reading
Oh
no
yeah,
books. I mean,
that's yeah.
what do you make? Is it just the our taste for new things or something more?
Well, in each of those specifically, I can't really object to people getting up at 5 in the morning because it's pretty much when I get up, when my sort of naturally realizing that there's no point in trying to sleep much longer than that has been really powerful for me. And now I go to bed earlier and get enough sleep because I'm getting up then. But I know what you really mean, I think, which is this idea of like, fad routines that come in and
Mm.
then fade away again, or sort of daily rituals that are supposed to be the key to everything. And I think the obvious, risk there, I'm not the only person to have said it, is that things that you tell yourself make the day go better if you do them very quickly become things that you feel you absolutely have to do, otherwise the day can't go well at all. So I do have some routines, for example, around writing, in terms of brewing coffee and where I am and what I do immediately before sitting down and stuff. But you kind of want to minimize them, it always seems to me. You don't want to build them into something where, you know, you're traveling and you have like a spare hour somewhere and you've got some good idea, something you're working on. But oh no, you know, it's not 3 hours at 5 o'clock in the morning, or you don't have your perfect coffee that you always drink when you're writing. And now you've created an obstacle to sort of easy and enjoyable productivity rather than a way
Mm.
to get there.
And then finally, we're uh, in a year of a great deal of turmoil, there's a lot of news raining down on us. How do you think we should deal with this kind of 24-hour news cycle, social media, and how can we avoid overwhelm in this area?
Listen, I'm totally still learning this myself because every time you've figured out a way of doing it, the world situation gets 5% worse, and it gets past your defenses. Um, I think it's a really useful perspective to maintain is that maybe your sort of first job, if your first responsibility as someone who is trying to be kind to themselves and be part of a relationship or a family and to be a good citizen, like your first task is to steward your attention. That actually, before anything else, our job is to be willing to withdraw our attention from things, to start from a position of sort of quiet and calm, and then decide sometimes to give our attention to news updates or whatever else. It's much easier said than done because, of course, there's so many technologies, and the whole sort of algorithmic structure of the attention economy is designed to undermine any such attempts. But I think that just knowing that like that's our number one job, I think is really important and sort of ultimately quite empowering because it is something that with practice and a strong uh, acceptance of your imperfection at it all, but there is something that you can uh, do.